Spring training always brings excitement, but this year the conversation around the Toronto Blue Jays feels even more intense. There are so many moving parts right now, and fans are trying to piece together what the team is actually going to look like once opening day finally arrives. On the surface, things appear promising, especially when you start looking at the starting rotation. But once you dig deeper, especially into the bullpen situation, you realize there are still plenty of questions that need answers before the regular season begins. One of the biggest topics surrounding this team right now is the health and readiness of several key pitchers. The rotation looks strong on paper, but not every arm is fully ready to go just yet. Shane Bieber, for example, is progressing in his recovery and has already begun throwing again, but the expectation is that he will not be available when the season officially starts. The current timeline suggests he could return sometime toward the end of April or perhaps early May. That means the Blue Jays will need to carefully manage their rotation during those first few weeks of the season while they wait for him to be fully prepared. At the same time, there's also the situation involving Trey Savage. The good news is that he is healthy, but he will not be completely stretched out in terms of innings when the season begins. The plan right now appears to be bringing him onto the major league roster while gradually building up his workload. Instead of immediately asking him to handle a full starting role, the team will likely ease him in with shorter outings. Early appearances could be limited to around 3 or 4 innings before gradually increasing that number over the following weeks. The expectation is that by the time Bieber is ready to return, Savage should also be close to fully ramped up. Because of these circumstances, the Blue Jays may be leaning toward a strategy that is becoming increasingly popular across the league: the 6-man rotation. Rather than forcing pitchers into heavier workloads early in the year, the team could spread innings across 6 starters, allowing everyone to stay fresher while also avoiding unnecessary risks. When you look at the names potentially involved, it becomes clear why the organization might prefer this route. A rotation built around Dylan Cease, Kevin Gausman, Trey Savage, Cody Poteet, Jose Barrios, and Max Scherzer would offer both depth and experience. Each pitcher brings something slightly different to the table, creating a group that can handle a variety of situations over the course of a long season. More importantly, using 6 starters allows the coaching staff to avoid rushing anyone back too quickly while still keeping the overall pitching staff competitive. However, the moment you commit to a 6-man rotation, it immediately affects another critical area of a roster: the bullpen. Normally, teams operate with a larger relief group, but adding an extra starter means 1 fewer bullpen spot. That might not sound like a huge change at first, but it significantly alters how the roster is constructed and how the pitching staff is used throughout the season. Right now, several names appear to be strong candidates for bullpen roles. Jeff Hoffman is almost certain to be part of the group. Tyler Rogers is another arm that brings consistency and reliability, especially considering his track record of appearing in a massive number of games over the past several seasons. Lewis Varland is another pitcher who seems very likely to secure a spot, bringing the ability to handle multiple innings when necessary. Brennan Little also appears to be firmly in the mix, especially given the versatility he showed last season. He demonstrated the ability to pitch longer outings when needed, which becomes extremely valuable when the bullpen is operating with fewer available arms. In a situation where the team might need multiple innings from a reliever, having pitchers who can extend their appearances becomes a major advantage. Another interesting element of the bullpen discussion involves the potential role of Eric Lauer. Rather than functioning as a traditional late-inning reliever, he could serve as the long relief option. That means he might enter games earlier than typical bullpen pitchers, particularly in situations where a starter exits in the middle innings. Having someone capable of stabilizing those situations can prevent the rest of the bullpen from becoming overworked. Still, even with several spots appearing relatively secure, there remains at least one bullpen position that is still up for grabs. That competition could involve several different pitchers, each bringing a unique profile. Mason Fluharty has emerged as a strong candidate, especially after proving his reliability last season. He frequently found himself in high-pressure situations, including matchups against some of the most dangerous hitters in baseball. Those performances built trust within the organization and could give him the inside track for that final spot. However, the decision may not be quite that simple. The Blue Jays also have to consider roster flexibility, particularly when it comes to players who still have minor league options. Some pitchers can move between the major league roster and Triple-A without being exposed to waivers, which gives the team valuable flexibility throughout the year. Others would need to pass through waivers before being sent down, which creates the risk of losing them to another organization. Because of that, players like Spencer Miles or Angel Bastardo could factor into the conversation. Bastardo, for example, brings serious velocity, capable of reaching the upper 90s on the radar gun. Miles, on the other hand, has developed a deeper pitch mix and could evolve into a reliable multi-inning reliever. Decisions surrounding players like these are not always about immediate performance alone. Sometimes the organization is thinking several steps ahead, trying to preserve depth across the entire pitching staff. Another interesting layer to this situation is the balance between right-handed and left-handed pitchers in the bullpen. Some fans might worry about having multiple left-handed arms available at the same time, but in reality, that can actually be an advantage. Left-handed relievers are often harder to find, and having several capable options gives the manager more flexibility when navigating late-game matchups. Ultimately, the biggest challenge might not be talent, but workload management. With a slightly smaller bullpen, each reliever may need to shoulder a bit more responsibility than usual. That means pitchers who can handle multiple innings, or even appear on consecutive days, become extremely valuable. Luckily for Toronto, several candidates in the bullpen have already demonstrated that type of durability in previous seasons. As spring training continues, every outing, every inning, and every bullpen session will play a role in shaping the final roster. The coaching staff will be watching closely, evaluating not just raw performance, but also stamina, adaptability, and how each pitcher fits into the broader structure of the staff. And as these decisions slowly come into focus, the overall identity of the Blue Jays pitching staff for the upcoming season will begin to take shape. As the discussion around the bullpen continues to unfold, one thing becomes increasingly clear. The Toronto Blue Jays are approaching this season with a very different level of pitching depth compared to previous years. Not long ago, there were stretches where the team was scrambling just to find enough healthy starters to get through a week. There were moments when bullpen games became the only option, forcing relievers to shoulder workloads that were never part of the original plan. That kind of situation puts enormous strain on a pitching staff, and it often leads to fatigue by the time the season reaches its most important stretch. This time, however, the scenario feels completely different. Instead of worrying about whether there are enough starting pitchers available, the Blue Jays now find themselves dealing with the opposite challenge. There are more capable arms than there are spots available, and that creates a new set of decisions for the coaching staff and front office. While having depth is always a positive, it also means some difficult roster choices will inevitably have to be made. One of the most interesting aspects of this bullpen conversation revolves around the balance between trust and opportunity. Certain pitchers have already earned the confidence of the organization through their performances in recent seasons. Mason Fluharty, for example, built a reputation last year for stepping into some extremely high-pressure moments and delivering when the team needed him most. There were several situations where he was asked to face some of the most dangerous hitters in baseball, and he consistently managed to keep the game under control. Those kinds of performances tend to leave a lasting impression within a clubhouse. When a pitcher shows the ability to handle the biggest moments, managers often remember that when building the bullpen for the following season. Because of that, Fluharty enters this spring with a noticeable advantage in the competition for one of the remaining bullpen spots. At the same time, the organization cannot ignore the potential of other arms waiting in the system. Several pitchers bring intriguing skill sets that could eventually develop into valuable roles at the major league level. Some offer elite velocity, while others rely on pitch movement or a deeper mix of offerings to keep hitters off balance. The challenge for the Blue Jays is finding a way to evaluate these pitchers without losing them through roster limitations. This is where roster flexibility becomes such an important factor. Some pitchers can move between the major leagues and the minor leagues throughout the season because they still have option years remaining. That allows the team to adjust the roster based on scheduling demands, fatigue, or short-term performance. In contrast, pitchers without those options are much harder to maneuver, since sending them down could expose them to other teams looking to claim them. Because of that dynamic, the decision about who claims the final bullpen spots may not simply come down to who performs best during spring training. It could also depend on which pitchers the organization believes they can safely send down without risking losing them. In some cases, a player with slightly less experience might make the roster simply because another pitcher can be moved more easily. Another element that cannot be overlooked is how the schedule itself will influence bullpen usage. The early portion of a season can sometimes include long stretches of games without many off days. In those scenarios, a bullpen with fewer total arms could face serious pressure. That is why pitchers who can provide multiple innings are so valuable in the modern game. They act as a bridge between the starter and the late-inning relievers, allowing the team to navigate difficult stretches without exhausting the entire bullpen. Fortunately for Toronto, several pitchers projected to make the bullpen have already shown they can handle that type of workload. Tyler Rogers stands out as one of the most durable relievers in the league. Over the past several seasons, he has consistently appeared in a remarkable number of games. There were stretches where it seemed like he was available nearly every other night, quietly handling inning after inning without attracting much attention. That kind of reliability becomes incredibly valuable over the course of a long season. Managers often describe pitchers like Rogers as a dream to have in the bullpen because they eliminate so many potential headaches when trying to plan late-game strategy. Knowing that a reliever can handle frequent appearances allows the rest of the bullpen to be managed more carefully. Lewis Varland represents another interesting piece in this puzzle. Unlike many traditional relievers, he has experience as a starting pitcher, which means he is comfortable throwing multiple innings when the situation demands it. That versatility could prove extremely important, especially during the early weeks of the season when starters are still building up their endurance. Brennan Little also demonstrated similar versatility last season, occasionally stretching his outings beyond a single inning. Having several pitchers capable of doing that creates a safety net for the coaching staff. Instead of relying on a chain of one-inning specialists, the team can use fewer pitchers to navigate the middle portions of games, preserving the rest of the bullpen for later situations. This overall structure suggests the Blue Jays are building a bullpen designed for flexibility rather than strict roles. While there will still be pitchers designated for the late innings, the middle portion of games may be handled by relievers capable of adapting to different circumstances. That approach allows the team to respond more effectively to unexpected developments during a game. Beyond the bullpen discussion, there is also another storyline beginning to develop involving one of the most important members of the rotation. Jose Berrios could soon find himself pitching on an international stage as part of the World Baseball Classic. Puerto Rico has already advanced within the tournament structure, and Berrios has reportedly received approval to participate in the next stage. But before we move forward, don't forget to join our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep delivering the latest news about the Los Angeles Dodgers. We'd love to hear your thoughts on the news, so drop a comment below. In what could become one of the most intriguing stories of the season, whispers are circulating that the Ryan brothers are on the brink of facing a dilemma no athlete ever truly wants: competing against family for the same roster spot with the Los Angeles Dodgers. Sources close to the organization suggest that both brothers, who have long shared dreams of playing in the majors, are now navigating the emotional minefield of turning those dreams into a direct contest. Scouts have reportedly been impressed by both Ryan's performances in the minors. One brother is said to have a blazing fastball that could electrify the bullpen, while the other offers a versatile skill set capable of filling multiple positions. The Dodgers management, meanwhile, is rumored to be in the unenviable position of deciding which of the two to carry on the major league roster, with neither showing any signs of slowing down or compromising for the sake of family loyalty. The story has already captured the attention of fans and analysts alike, who are fascinated by the human drama unfolding behind the clubhouse doors. Baseball insiders point out that situations like this are rare but not unheard of, noting that sibling rivalries have occasionally shaken up team dynamics in the past. But what sets this apart is the combination of high-stakes, familial bonds, and the bright spotlight of one of the league's most storied franchises. While neither brother has publicly commented on the situation, sources suggest that private conversations with coaches have been tense, filled with a mix of competitive fire and reluctant admiration for each other's talent. Industry experts speculate that this could create a unique narrative arc for the Dodgers season, adding an extra layer of intrigue to the roster decisions and perhaps even affecting clubhouse chemistry in ways only time will reveal. As the team prepares for its upcoming campaigns, all eyes will be on how management handles the delicate balance between talent and family ties. Whether the Ryan brothers end up as teammates or one is edged out, the situation has already sparked a conversation about the pressures professional athletes face when personal and professional lines blur. For now, the rumor mill continues to churn, leaving fans wondering, can blood really run that deep in the world of big league baseball, or will ambition ultimately come first? That's all for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay up to date with exclusive news about the Los Angeles Dodgers, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. We always appreciate your comments and feedback. See you in the next video.